Detroit Den 313. We are back. Steve and Will talking Detroit Lions football. But before we get going, hit that subscribe button. Don't forget the bell icon so you don't miss any of our new content. Steve, talk to the people about what we're talking.
We got to talk about a guy for the Detroit Lions potentially from the University of Texas. Horns down.
Hook 'em horns.
Horns down. Defensive tackle Byron Murphy.
Yes, sir.
Now, here's a kid that has been all over the place in mock drafts. I don't know where to gauge his talent. I don't know where to gauge where I would personally put him yet until the combine happens. I've seen him in the top 10. I've seen him in the early second round. I don't know where to put him in the NFL draft, but with a wide range,
I know where he's going already.
29, pick Detroit Lions.
No, I was just going to say he's going to go somewhere between 1 and 32.
Obviously,
You're
maybe. I don't know. Maybe it's 33 through 40. I don't know.
Wide
range, but that wide range gets us thinking. 29 Detroit Lions. Is it a possibility? Is it a fit? How would it work out? How do you feel?
Steve, I think you hit a home run yesterday, man, when you talked about just a breakdown of how guys can fall to us. You talked about, just all of the quarterbacks, all of the corners, all of the edge rushers, right?
Then you got a ton of offensive linemen.
Yeah, then you got the offensive linemen, and then you just got Bowers out there hanging out, whatever he is. Kind of a tight end for the most part, but maybe a little bit of slot receiver. Like, he's just a weapon, kind of like Dalton Kincaid, probably way more physical, though. But anyways, there's a lot of guys out there that could be getting drafted in that first round. Someone has to slip, and I completely agree with what you said. So I do think there's a world to where Byron Murphy, he's there for the Lions at 29, or again, around that 29 pick. If he is one of your guys, then I think there's definitely a potential he can get into that area to where either it looks like he's going to slide to you, or you make the move and you go get him.
So how do you personally feel about Byron Murphy? Because I've been watching this kid's tape, and my philosophy for pass rush has been, I don't really care where it comes from. I don't really care how it happens, just so as long as we're making the quarterback uncomfortable, putting him on the ground. I don't care if that's coming from an outside linebacker, a defensive end, defensive tackle. But I think what we lack for the Detroit Lions is, I know we have a Lee McNeil, but what Byron Murphy can do is he's very good in the pass game. He's very good pass rusher, very good in the run game. He's an instant upgrade from Benito Jones. I like Benito Jones. He's a plug. He demands a double team. He's a body you're not going to move. But that's kind of really just all he is. If you get a guy like Byron Murphy, you talk about it all the time, make our defense faster, make our defense more athletic. I think that's an instant upgrade for Benito Jones. I think Benito could be a situational player, 3rd and short, 4th and short, known running situations. But on a 3rd and 8, do I need Benito Jones, or do I need a guy like Byron Murphy who can get after the quarterback?
You need Byron Murphy.
Absolutely. And we're not trying to knock Benito Jones. Like, what he does is very valuable to the Detroit Lions, and it's something we need. But I could see him just kind of stepping back into more of a role player position.
Yeah, I agree. I think I would really like to pick. I feel like there's a couple guys in this draft that I really like because of their twitchiness. And he's going to bring that twitchiness. He's going to be another guy that can get into the backfield and be disruptive. He's going to be another guy that when these QBs start running around and it turns into a scramble drill, he can run a QB down, especially the guys that aren't crazy athletes like the Justin Fields and the Lamar Jacksons of the world. When we start getting into the normal humans, right? He'll be able to run those guys down, especially running laterally down the line. I think it instantly makes our defense, just like you said, more athletic and more exciting. My only grievance with him is, well, actually 2. One, his hands don't seem super violent, but that's not a huge grievance that I got with him. I think he makes up for that with his athleticism. He's only 6'1", and I like those tall guys that can get their hands on passes. So with him, Aleem isn't that tall either. So with him and Aleem playing side by side, I just worry about on the downs where they don't get home and get back to the quarterback, can they get those hands up high enough to be able to bat down passes?
I hear you. I wish he was about 6'3", but if that's my only knock, there's nothing I can do to change it. It's nothing you can coach. It's nothing you have any control over. He just is what he is. He's 6'1". We'll call it 310 pounds. That's a nice size for a kid. Low center of gravity.
Yep.
lots of leverage. What happens in football? The low man always wins.
Facts.
If you get lower than the centers and guards, you're going to cause some problems for the quarterback and in the backfield. So what I also see, I think this is a huge problem for the Detroit Lions, is we have Aiden Hutchinson, great top 10. He's probably in the top 10, sneaking up on that top 5 edge rushers. Sometimes he over pursues. What I'd like to see us do is get that pass rush up the middle, push that pocket directly back into a quarterback. I think that makes them far more uncomfortable, because when you push that pocket back, what do they want to do? They want to boot out to either side, get a little space, have the ability to throw the ball away, extend a play. Well, that's a little harder to do when you're getting your pocket pushed by Byron Murphy and Aiden Hutchinson's over there waiting for you on the other side. Take one half of the field for you to escape from. Our interior pass rush could just be a little bit better. I know a lot of people were high on Aleem McNeil, and he was having an okay season. He wasn't having like a Pro Bowl season or like an all pro or nothing like that. It was nothing crazy. I think we just look at Aleem McNeil like, yeah, he's the second best pass rusher on this team, but what's that really saying, you know?
It's saying that he has a pulse.
Exactly. That's exactly all it's saying. We're not trying to knock any Detroit Lions on this episode. We're just talking about we have some positions we could upgrade.
Yeah. Hey, man, just like you said, we're not knocking anybody. We found a way to get to the NFC Championship game, but you should always be looking to get better. Byron Murphy makes us better. For me, not getting too far ahead of the game, there's some guys that I love in this draft, and Jarrett versus one of them. Byron Murphy is kind of a 1A, 2B, I guess, to that mindset of getting somebody super twitchy. I want somebody twitchy and disruptive. Unfortunately for me, there's a couple of defensive tackles that I think that we can get into the second round that
there's some kids in the second round I like way more.
Yeah, so I like those guys more, and that's kind of the direction that I would go. So at pick 29, I'd probably draft a guy like Edrin Cooper, but hey,
not if the Cowboys take him at 23 or 24, like I've seen in some mock drafts.
They better not fleece us. I keep saying it. So you guys, I'm a couple of you guys mentioned that they made this mock draft and then they're gonna get off of it and they're gonna be talking about something different. No, I'm still there. If you're telling me I can get Edrin Cooper and then I can go get we won't give them too much sauce. Steve.
Yeah, don't be squeezing it too much. I'll tell you right now, with my draft, I'm out of my first 4 picks. I think those are the most valuable. Once you get into like round 4, 5, 6, 7, it's more of a crapshoot. The first round's already a crapshoot, but in round 4, you really just don't know who's going to be there. You don't know how these GMs have different people ranked or evaluated. My first 4, so basically the first 3 rounds, I'm pretty settled in. I'm pretty locked in. Realistically, we'll get into that post combine once we do our second mock draft, but there are some defensive tackles in the second round that I think do the same thing Byron Murphy does, plus some, with more violence, more speed, and more athleticism. If you've watched some of our previous shows where we're talking about some kids, you might know who we're talking about. But if you're new to this channel, subscribe, and we'll be getting into it more and more as we go. But we're not going to spill the beans completely.
Yeah, I think you're dead on. But when it comes to the Pajama Olympics, I think Byron Murphy may perform better at the Pajama Olympics, which great job. But that's when you have to come into your player talent evaluation. Do you look at these guys that maybe one of them runs a 4.7 and then these other guys run 4.8s? What does that mean to you when it comes into football play, or even a 4.9 to a 4.7? What's that mean to you? So to me, that means that you're really fast in PJs. And we have to really look at the tape and think about what we're trying to do as a team and what other things you bring to the table. Steve, as you always talk about, being in that room, hearing who they really are and what they're really about. And if they want to get, if they want to be a gritty type player that fits the Detroit Lions culture. And then what does the film say? So maybe there will be some things that change after the Pajama Olympics. I keep telling you guys, Quinyon Mitchell is going to go and he's going to run that 4.3. Maybe he flies up draft boards. Maybe Byron Murphy runs a 4.5, and we get on here and we're like, hey, gotta have him. You know what I mean?
4.5 for 300 pounds.
Yeah,
that's a whole lot of man moving very, very fast.
100%. And I'm not saying that's what he'll do. I am saying that about Quinyon Mitchell. I do suspect that he's going to run a 4.3, but I'm not saying that about Byron Murphy. But we do know we had a kid from Northwestern last year. You had Nolan Smith. These guys, there's going to be some guys that fly up draft boards because they're going to go run these 4.5s, 4.4s, 4.3s, whatever. and they're going to look really good in pajamas. So maybe Steve and I's our draft thoughts and processes will change after we see the pajama Olympics. But right now we're kind of locked in. So for me, if Byron Murphy was to slip down to 29, I would be like, man, he's going to really be an asset for somebody. And I can't believe he's still here at 29, but it would be a pass for me. But I think that he is a phenomenal player. And if we did draft him, I would be excited to see him in Honolulu Blue. Steve, how do you feel about it?
Let's play a game of what if, and I know this usually gets us into huge trouble. Let's say pick 29, Detroit Lions are on the board.
Yep.
What if Byron Murphy's available? We're just saying we're imagining that everyone else I don't name is gone defensively. Okay. Byron Murphy's available. Johnny Newton's available.
Mm-hmm.
Tavondre Sweat's available.
Yeah.
Which one are you going with? Who's your pick at 29 if you need a defensive lineman?
Well, I'm gonna try to be polite about this, but Tavondre isn't even in the conversation for me.
He's
not even. Yeah, like if Tavondre is on the board in round 3, he's still not in the conversation for me. Like I just don't want those
undrafted free agent. Still no.
I just how are we gonna get him here? Like Freighter, like we're talking about it. It's a no for me, man. Like I think I truly think that he is gonna eat his way out the league. Guys, we've seen a few of you guys commenting him in the comments, and Steve and I have both kind of talked about it, and
he's a nose tackle. We don't play 3-4.
Exactly.
Doesn't fit.
He doesn't fit what we do. And on top of that, if you go and look at him as a freshman at Texas and what he looks like now, he is not just a guy who was born a big human. He ate his way to being a big human, and that's no knock, but it normally doesn't correlate to playing great football for a long, extended period of time.
So his freshman year of college, he looked like maybe an outside linebacker, maybe a safety, very lean, and now he looks like Vince Wilfork.
Just facts. It's just facts. So
we're not knocking the kid for how he looks, but he's a nose tackle. We don't play with a nose tackle. We play mainly a 4-3. He'd probably be Tavondre Sweat. That is would probably be more of a fit for like the Baltimore Ravens, the Pittsburgh Steelers, one of those teams that run a 3-4 defense with a nose tackle. Tavondre Sweat is not even on our radar because of what he plays and what the Detroit Lions run.
Yeah,
just not an option for us.
Yep, we're gonna play with 4 up front. He's not gonna be just playing tackle 3 technique. Like no, it's not gonna be him. But when it comes down to the other 2 guys, it would be Johnny Newton for me if I was choosing between the 2. Johnny Newton is a guy that I may actually take at 29. I don't know. I'd have to do some really deep.
Jerzon Newton, defensive tackle out of Illinois, for those of you who aren't tracking.
Yeah, I would have to do some soul searching, man, because it would be tough. But it wouldn't be Byron Murphy, even though I do respect his game. I do think Newton is the guy out of the 2 of them. Same question for you, Steve. Those 3 on the board, 29. What you doing?
I'm probably, if those are my only 3, I'm probably going to go Newton as well. But there's so many options in this draft. So when the season ended, unfortunately, with us not raising the Lombardi Trophy like we probably should have been doing, when the season ended and I saw, oh man, we have pick 29, I was like, damn, not a lot of good options at 29. Maybe I was just in a depressed mood. Maybe I was just still heartbroken over the Lions loss. But the more I've dove into these drafts and looking at players and seeing who's available, who could be available, doing the math on who could slip, someone has to slip. I'm not going to get into it, but the math tells me 9 offensive linemen, 4 or 5 quarterbacks, 5 or 6 receivers. Someone on defense is probably going to slip. If you would have told me we could have our choices of Jerzon Newton or Byron Murphy, I would have said there's no way they're available at 29. Mm-hmm. But I'm leaning towards Johnny Newton. I really like him, but I still don't think he's my number 1 defensive tackle personally. I think Braden Fisk.
Whoa!
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying there's other guys later in the draft that I really like at a better value pick. Yeah. So if I can go out and get Edger and Cooper, or maybe we get aggressive and we trade up and make a move.
You gave it too much.
There's plenty of options.
There's a lot of options.
So lots of names, lots of people discussed. Leave some comments down below. Let us know how you feel about Byron Murphy, some of the other guys we've mentioned in this episode. Hit that like button. If you're new to this channel, subscribe, and we will be back later with some more content.
Peace.